Good day, viewers. Welcome to another AgChem Live. Your presenter is Jonnoy Johnson, product development agronomist for the Southeast region. And if you're wondering, Southeast region includes St. Andrew, St. Thomas, and St. Catherine. All right. Hope you had a lovely week, and basically you're ready to be edified on another AgChem product. All right. With the conditions being wet, as most persons are experiencing now, the question comes, what type of fertilizer should I be using? And I mean, the question can even range as far as what blend of fertilizer, what crop should I be using that fertilizer on, and what soil type is ideal for the fertilizer that I have, right? So today, my presentation will be on our new line of fertilizer, which is the ELIXIR Premium Amosulfan fertilizer, right? And what that means, a high nitrogen sulfate ammonia fertilizer. So let us delve into the presentation. So we'll be focusing on the history of ELIXIR Zorka, which is a founded company for the Amosulfan. Then we'll look at the features of the Amosulfan. Thirdly, importance of nitrogen and attributes of this Amosulfan. And also we'll include application rates, testimonial from our demonstrations, cost benefit analysis, and conclusion. All right, so let us go on. So ELIXIR Zorka is a European fertilizer manufacturer that was founded in 1938. So they have a wealth of knowledge and experience. And basically they supply high quality complex mineral fertilizers. So we're talking about from your straight NPK blends, straight nitrogen blends, phosphorus or potassium blends, right? And as I said earlier, basically they're using high quality material with the state-of-the-art technologies. So you're getting a premium product that you can't resist. So breaking down the molecule. So with fertilizers, we want to understand what makes it. So as you can see, the ELIXIR Amosulfan is basically comprised of 20% nitrogen and 24% sulfur. And let me go further into that product because a lot of times, home gardeners, farmers ask me, so what are the benefits of these elements? So let me take you further. All right. A quick recap, quick overview of the features. So as I said before, the ELIXIR Amosulfan contains 20% nitrogen and 24% sulfur, uniform granular composition. And as you can see, let me show you. You seen that? All right. Crystal white color and basically manufactured from pure synthesis of liquid ammonia and sulfuric acid. All right, and the next good feature, 100% soluble. Get that, farmers? 100% soluble. So it can be dissolved in water. All right. And we recommend that you use the Amosulfan on high value crops that will give you high returns for the cost. All right. So quick facts on nitrogen. Or you'd ask me, why is nitrogen important? All right, here's the thing now. Nitrogen is basically the major component of chlorophyll. And chlorophyll, for those who are not aware, is basically a compound that basically uses light to convert water and carbohydrates into sugars. Get that? So basically, nitrogen is key in that compound. All right, another major importance of nitrogen is basically help in protein building or key component of your amino acids. And amino acids, as I said, essential in protein building, and proteins are usually key structural components of cell and basically forms enzymes. And enzymes will help to basically metabolize a lot of the chemical processes in your plant. So that's key. All right, another thing, key component of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and that basically helps in conservation of energy, so the cell doesn't use most of the energy that is produced, right? And then another thing is that key component of DNA, so genetic material. And once we're talking genetic material, basically talking life. So this is why nitrogen is one of your key elements, right? So I don't want farmers to say, no, that's just sulfate of ammonia. No, this is basically the building blocks. So you're talking about growth, development, and reproduction. All right. So we say we're talking about nitrogen, right? So I want to know the three main sources of synthetic nitrogen. And those are, first, nitrates, all right? So your calcium nitrate, your potassium nitrate, all right? The next one, ammonium sulfate, all right? And thirdly, urea, all right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to basically show you the or tell you the importance of each of these sources. So let us start with our nitrates. All right. So nitrates are basically the most readily taken up form of nitrogen in the soil. But here's the thing now, because they're so readily dissolved in water, they move freely with the soil water. So we're talking about the nitrate can move from the upper layers of the soil to the lower layers. And with excess rain, as we're having now, you can have leaching of that nitrate. And what that means is that the plant won't be able to take up that additional nitrates that is needed, right? So that's why nitrate-based fertilizer sometimes leach a lot, especially on your sandy-based soils. Get that, farmers? So your sandy-based soils with a larger structural formation, you lose a lot of your nitrates, right? All right. The next one is ammonia. So your sulfate of ammonia form, right? All right. When ammonia is applied to the soil, here what happens. It reacts with the soil water to form ammonium ion. So ammonia reacts with the soil water to form ammonium ion. And this ammonium ion is basically very reactive or binds easily to your clay and your organic material, right? So when you hear a farmer says he's incorporating organic material in his field, it basically gives additional benefits, such as ammonium being binded to that particle, right? All right. So with ammonium being binded, that means it doesn't leach readily. You seen those plus so far? It doesn't leach readily. So it won't leach from your soil area so easy as your nitrates, right? But in order for ammonium to be converted to nitrates, you basically have some soil organisms that gradually break down that molecule and then convert them to nitrates, which is a usable form. But the thing is that because the ammonium is gradually break down, you don't have that excess leaching. Understand? You don't have that excess leaching of nitrates because the ammonium will be gradually broken down into nitrates, as in comparison to the nitrates which are already there and are easily leached. Right? The last source is urea. And urea basically has to be broken down to 3 steps. Right? A lot of farmers basically tend to use urea as their main source of nitrogen. But farmers, take a pen and pencil and listen. All right. Urea basically has to be broken down from the urea to ammonia. And that process usually takes about 2 to 3 days. You usually need enzymes within the soil or enzymes from plant material to help break down the urea into ammonia. And that's within, as I said, within a 2 to 4 days process. After that urea is basically broken down, it now has to be converted to ammonium. So the ammonia will react with the soil water and then converted to ammonium. And then, as I said before, the soil organism would have to break down the ammonium and then convert that into nitrates. So you see, during those 3 steps, you basically have areas where you can lose that nitrogen. So you basically, at the end of the day, you're getting less usage out of that application. All right. And here is basically a simple nitrogen cycle. As you can see, the different stages show you, as I mentioned, ammonium to nitrate, and then you have the denitrification, right? Uptake by plants, and nitrogen fixation. So for those who basically want to have a understanding of how the process works, there it is. And you see we're showing nitrates basically leach. Yeah, they are the most easily leach compound, right? All right. So basically sum up what I said, because I know it's a mouthful. So to sum up what I basically said about the comparison between your urea, your nitrates, and your ammonium, look at this chart. So in the red line, you're seeing your urea. You see after day 5, you're losing 800 parts per million of that urea, right? All right. Look down to the green line, the light green line. You're seeing where after day 5, you basically lose less than 150 parts per million of your sulfate of ammonium. So you see what I'm getting at, right? So you lose more of your urea-based fertilizer after 5 days compared to your ammonium-based fertilizer, all right? All right, so since we see that ammonium sulfate is a better option, look at some of the benefits. All right, lower pH, binds to the gaps of clay. As I said before, the ammonium molecule is very reactive to clay and organic material, right? Increase phosphorus uptake. So you basically it creates a nice condition for the increase of phosphorus, which is ideal for your root development and your movements of nutrients. All right, let's just basically dwell further into the ammonium ion molecule. All right. So attributes of the Amosulfan. Firstly, fixation of ammonium ion. And as you can see, basically prevents excess loss of nitrogen. So compared to your urea-based sources, you will not lose your nitrogen from that application, and which you can find in your Amosulfan. All right. Secondly, behaves as a slow-acting nitrogen source. So because the molecule is even larger, you're gradually getting a source of nitrogen. So your application will last longer, and you basically get more yield from each application. Next. All right. So more attributes. Sulfur in the sulfate form basically is directly taken up by plants. Understand? It's a form that is easily taken up by plants, so you're getting the results. All right. And improve the efficiency of nitrogen. So basically, with the next slide, you'll see further I'm talking about. As you can see here, a nice diagram explaining the role of sulfur and in the different components. As you see here, leguminous plants use a lot of nitrogen fixation. All right. Sulfur is even essential in enzyme function. All right. The next thing has an important role in photosynthesis. All right. So we're seeing that the sulfur and the nitrogen component basically contributes to increased photosynthesis, increased enzyme action, and overall the increase in metabolism of the plant, right? So we're basically getting improved yield from our application of the Amosulfan. Other attributes, lowering pH. So what the sulfate aspect of the fertilizer does, lower the pH. And with that, you basically, as I said before, get has greater uptake of phosphorus and micro elements, right? Which a lot of times plants tend to suffer from micronutrient deficiency, especially at the stage of fruiting. So this fertilizer helps to lower the soil pH and allow that quick uptake of your phosphorus and your micronutrients. All right. And as mentioned before, very soluble, exceptional solubility. Ideal. And this allows for the farmer to be able to dissolve the Amosulfan and run through his drip system, or he could broadcast it. So farmers, you have the flexibility of basically broadcasting the fertilizer on the soil surface or run it through your drip system. But usually we suggest that after broadcasting, you basically incorporate it into the soil, which will give you even more effective use out of your fertilizer. All right? All right. So after talking about solubility, right? You want to see it. Seeing is believing. So what I'll do, I'll basically run a quick demo with our product, the Amosulfan. So right here, I have a glass of water, all right, and my spoon inside. See that? Some amount of Amosulfan, and I'll basically pour the Amosulfan molecules into the glass. And on contact, you're realizing the molecules have started to dissolve, right? So what I'll do, I basically quickly agitate. And then at the end of the presentation, you'll see how the particles have basically dissolved. And you're realizing that on each swirl, you're basically seeing the water being changed, right? So that shows you that the product continues to dissolve. So about after half minute of swirling, you see that most of the particle has basically dissolved, right? And if I continue to swirl it, everything will basically disappear. The farmers are home gardeners, this is what I'm talking about. A very soluble fertilizer. So for your soil application, either by broadcast or granular, this is the way to go. All right. So at the end of the presentation, I'll basically show you what's left so that you have a full idea of the solubility. All right, another attribute. It can be used on a wide range of crops. So we're talking from our leafy vegetables to our solanaceous, such as sweet pepper, tomato, to papaya, fruit trees, turf, and the list goes on. A wide range, because as I said earlier, we're seeing the importance of nitrogen. And although it's basically a very abundant element, nitrogen deficiency continues to be one of the main deficiencies we're observing in modern day agriculture. Right? So if your plant is nitrogen deficient, you'll basically lose on production, growth, and basically overall performance of your crop. And that boils down to dollars. So losing productivity, losing cash, right? So let us basically break down the application, right? But since we know about the product, we want to know the rate of application, right? So for fruit trees, we're looking at about 300 to 500 kg per hectare. And for those who might ask me, Jonnoy, basically do understand that measurement. So let me break it down now. So we're looking at about 267 to 445 pounds per acre. Understand that? 267 to 445 pounds per acre. That's for fruit trees. For vegetable now, we're looking at 400 to 600 kg per hectare. And that's equivalent to 354 to 532 pounds per hectare. All right? So farmers, with that calculation, we basically can understand how to apply our product. And we'll take a testimonial from a farmer, Dwayne Wilson. Good day, viewers. Welcome again to another AgChem Live. And today we're basically out here in the sunshine city of Portmore. Although it's a bit overcast, basically making it a great day. So the focus of today is basically our new line of fertilizers, the ELIXIR line. And today in particular, we'll be focusing on the ELIXIR Premium, which is the Amosulfan compound fertilizer, right? And that basically used it on a patch of callaloo, as you can see here. So with me, we have farmer Dwayne Wilson, and he has been farming here for about 14 years. And since the last 2 years, he has basically branched out on his own and doing a range of crops. So even callaloo, as we're going to talk about, tomato, cucumbers, pumpkin, a range of crops, right? So this young man is basically has a wealth of knowledge since his last 2 years on his own. And what we're trying to do is basically improve the farmer's yield via nutrition and other programs. So we're basically going to have a chat with the farmer regarding his views on the ELIXIR Amosulfan. So farmer doing? All right, so you have a nice patch of callaloo right here. I realize I'm observing a great difference with in terms of the rows. So what did you use on this section?
I applied a Amosulfan
Mm-hmm.
on it for about 2 weeks ago. About 3 to 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I start to see improvement
In the folder. All right, wait. So you applied it. You applied it about 2 weeks ago,
2
right?
weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay, so that will put us about October 8th. And since the application, what did you see happening to the fertilizer after apply?
Okay. The fertilizer dissolve 3 to 4 days. Take 3 to 4 days to dissolve in the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, about 3 to 4 days to 5 days, call it a week,
Yeah.
you start to see difference in the plant.
Okay, so what you say difference in the plant? What we're talking about foliage color.
Foliage color brighter than the normal sulfate.
Okay, so you're seeing a darker green compared to your regular sulfate of ammonia fertilizer.
Yeah.
All right. What are the difference you notice?
The difference, or the time that the plant take to grow, to improve,
Mm-hmm.
increase
Yeah.
size in the stem.
Yeah. So you're seeing increase in the stem girth.
Stem girth.
And for viewers, we'll say girth, we're talking about the width of the stem, right? All right. So increase stem girth. And what about the length?
The length here. Faster increase in the length of
in the height of the plant.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting taller plants.
In a shorter period. Yeah.
All right. So viewers, you hear that? Basically, greener foliage, increase width, and taller plants within that period. But what I want the viewers to understand, is the contrasting effect I'm getting in the field. And if you can see, these 3 rows were treated and the others were not. So what did you observe between the untreated and the treated?
What I observe, every day I come here, I try to see the difference.
Yeah.
Within the growth and the leaf, because that's all you want with the callaloo. You need to see the growth of the callaloo and the leaf of the callaloo. So the quality, it's much better than the other.
Okay, yes, guys, viewers, I'm telling you, it's very clear. The one that was treated with the other sulfate of ammonia source is basically of a lighter green than the Amosulfan, right? All right.
So I'm asking you, all the farmers in the country, I'm recommending you to buy the Amosulfan fertilizer. It's work fast, it's quick, and it's great. So go and get it.
And to add farmers, the Amosulfan can be broadcast or can be dissolved to run through your fertigation system. Or if you don't have a intricate fertigation system, you basically can dissolve it in a tank and run it through your drip line to basically boost your plant performance and increase your yield. All right, so what you just saw was an in-field demonstration of our ELIXIR Amosulfan fertilizer. And based on what you saw, looks good, right? All right. So let me give you a recap of what happened. What we did was basically apply the Amosulfan on a section of the field. So what we try to do at AgChem is to show the farmers how the products work in the field. So you had a treated section and a control. And over to the left, you're seeing that nice lush row of callaloo. Those were the treated rows. While over to the right, you're seeing that light green section. Those were callaloos treated using drip system with a next source of sulfate of ammonia. And based on the pic, that's very clear, right? That's Amosulfan at work. All right. And the next slide will basically even show you a good lineup of the treated rows. Yes. So that era was basically treated. And notice we didn't treat all the way up to the top of the row. We just took a section and broadcast a fertilizer, and within 3 to 4 days, it dissolved and started to work. And as you can see, basically those rows were very distinct. Very distinct. All right. So since we have an idea and we see how the fertilizer works, we want to basically get an understanding of the costing, or how would it basically work out financially for me as a farmer, home grower, or basically a person who is in turf management. All right, so what we did was to basically work out a cost benefit in callaloo production. All right, so as I said, we're focusing on callaloo, and average cost for ELIXIR 25 kg bag is about 2,300. All right, and in terms of callaloo production, we're looking at applying close to about 500 pounds per acre, and that would be equivalent to 11 bags. So if you do the simple maths, 11 times 2,300, we're getting $25,300. So that's the amount of cash you need, basically, supply the crop with the Amosulfan. All right. And usually, work out the average that the farmer cut about 5 times for the crop cycle at a marketable yield at 30,000 pounds per acre. All right. And what you want to do is basically times that 30,000 pounds, which is the marketable yield, times $30 per pound. So we're looking at about 900,000. And 900,000 would be that total income for the farmer, right? Then when you minus that 25,300, you see, that's just a drop in the bucket. And to divide, if you're subtracting other costs, such as labor and chemical costs, the farmer will basically work out at about 750,000 to the acre. So farmer earning about $750,000 to the acre, right? All right. So with those savings, let me go into the additional uses of this fertilizer. We're not only limiting to nutrient benefits, I'm going to show you the additional uses of this fertilizer. So with the increased rainfall, we will notice that we're seeing increase in weed growth, right? And for farmers, I mean, that's headache. So in order to get effective use out of your herbicides, you want to use the Amosulfan fertilizer. And listen now, what the application of this fertilizer would do is basically reduce your water pH. So on average, the average water pH in Jamaica is about 7.5 to 8, right? With an application about 6 pounds to a 50-gallon drum, that pH can drop to as low as 3.5 or 4, right? And that means you're basically getting effective use out of your fertilizer, your herbicide, sorry. All right, so for herbicides like glyphosate, basically at a pH range of 3.5, while your paraquat at a range of 5, right? So you see where reducing your pH is basically beneficial to you. And in addition, what the ammonia aspect of the fertilizer will do is basically open out stomata of the plant and even trick the plant that is getting a source of nutrients while taking in that herbicide faster. So you're getting effective control, right? All right. And for persons who have soils with high pH, you can apply the Amosulfan, basically lower your soil pH, right? And by lowering your soil pH, it allows, as I said before, for the uptake of key elements like phosphorus and your micronutrients, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll take the benefits of the Amosulfan. And as seen here, the nitrogen form, which is ammonia, is basically, or ammonium, is readily available to the plant. As I said before, in this form, it doesn't leach, and the microorganism gradually convert it to nitrates. So you're basically getting a gradual supply of nitrates instead of having that excess leach from the soil. All right. Efficient nitrogen delivery, right? Synergistic relationship between the nitrogen and sulfur. All right. Reduce your soil pH. And also releases the black phosphorus in your soil along with your micronutrients. So you're seeing the benefits so far, right? So saving on cash and basically allowing you to access more nutrients within the soil. And overall, basically increases your productivity. So increasing growth, increasing production, increasing development. So making it a win-win for you, the farmers. And I mentioned about the solubility of the Amosulfan. All right, you see at the end of this presentation, you're observing that the product will completely dissolve, right? So as I said before, 100% soluble. 100% soluble, making it a versatile product for all your nutrient applications through either your fertigation system or by broadcasting. All right. So basically, after feeding you all this information, let me hear some questions from our viewers.
Okay. Okay, Jonnoy. Question from Zorina Farm on Instagram. How much application is required of the Amosulfan?
All right. It depends on the crop type you're doing. In the presentation, I mentioned callaloo. With each cutting of the callaloo, a farmer will usually basically do an application, right? But for crops such as cabbage, pak choy, you may require one application. But if you're doing continuous reaping or is a continuous crop like your fruit trees, you'd need more than one application. Next question.
How does Amosulfan compare to the other sources of nitrogen?
All right, good question. As we saw in the presentation, there are several benefits with Amosulfan versus other nitrogen sources. So we're talking about no leaching, right? Quickly lowering the pH, right? It's a uniform formulation. So with each granule, you're basically getting nitrogen and sulfur packed within that granule. So with every granulous drop, you're basically getting your nitrogen and your sulfur, and 100% soluble. With other sulfate sources, there's a lot of fillers. With this, as I see, 100% soluble, easy to use, won't block your irrigation systems.
Next question from Facebook, Charmaine Lorenzo Blair Stewart. Can this be used on Irish or sweet potatoes? And at what point is this suitable for application?
All right, yeah. This basically can you use on, as I said, most of your crops. So Irish and sweet potatoes included. And with Irish, you'd apply this early. So you can either apply it prior to planting or basically a side dress a week or two after putting in your seeds. And for sweet potato, you just need one application. So you can apply this 2 to 3 weeks after the slips have established, and you get quick growth and development.
Las Ellis Jr. on Instagram. Can you design a specific fertilizer program for specific crops?
Yes, we can. Because since we have basically recently established more lines of fertilizer, such as the ELIXIR and the Abadam, we can now design specific formulation. And to point out, we have just received some of our soluble line, right? So we can basically create a complete program specific to each crop.
Can you say what were the most suitable crops to use the Amosulfan?
Amosulfan? All right. Ideally, so looking at the cabbage, onion, scallions, sweet potato, Irish potato, your fruit trees such as your orange, your papaya, and the list goes on, because nitrogen is basically very key for most plant growth and development. So it's a wide range of crops it can be used on.
And the last question that I see here, where can I get Amosulfan to purchase? What are the major farm stores that is available in Jamaica?
All right, so your major farm stores will be, so let me go through. So in Manchester, we're talking about Tata Farm Store. In St. James, the Farm Hut, Chin's Haberdashery and Agro, Angela's Farm Supplies, right? And in St. Elizabeth, M&K Farm Store, Chem's Agri Supplies, and in St. Mary, Bascobel Farm Supplies. And in Clarendon, we're looking at Biggs Farm Store, which is in Mesa River. And we'll go over to St. Ann, A&G Agri, Better Grow Farm Supplies, New Horizon Farm Store, Sunwings Farm Store. And in my region now, in St. Thomas, we have Superior Farm and Garden Supplies and Eastern Farm Sport and Bike Supplies. And in Trelawney, we have Hunzing Farm Store, Feed on Wheels in St. Andrew, and lastly, Time and Patience Farm Supplies in St. James. All right.
Another question, Jonnoy, from Instagram, MC Agritech. Can farmers with borderline pH use this product?
Borderline pH. All right. With this product, we recommend, usually on soils that have a very low pH, it's all right to use this product. But let me specify borderline. Ideally, the sulfate of ammonia products work best at pH 7, right? If the pH is too alkaline, you would have to incorporate it into the soil, right? Or if the pH falls below 5.5, you may not get effective use out of your fertilizer, right? So we're talking about pH between 6 to 7.5, right? All right. But for urea-based fertilizers, once the pH goes above 7, you would have an issue. All right. That's it for your question and answers. All right. And for farmers out there, if you want to know your reps, so we have in the Northeast region, Dennis Leckie. And then in the Central region, you have Dane Parker. And in the Northwest region, you have Mr. Dale Smith. And yours truly, I'm in the Southeast region. And in the Southwest region, you have Sion Spence. So you can basically contact the reps for to answer any queries or basically do any site visits, right? All right, we'll basically wrap up the presentation.
And I also want to say to the farmers out there, they can contact AgChem Plant Limited at 876-757-0022, or you can send us an email at info.jam@caribchem.com, and we will send you the information that you need. Thank you.
All right. And viewers, thanks once more for basically making it AgChem. And we urge you farmers continue to persevere despite adverse conditions. The AgChem reps are basically at your beckoning. So if there is any question or if there is any concern, you can call the reps, or if you can't get the reps, call the office, and basically we will try to assist your needs. Let's grow your yields.